Hey guys, it's Nailbiter, and I've got another World of Tanks video here for you guys. And I wanted to actually show you guys the way your garage works in this game, and just the way the menu system in general works for this game. Because I thought that might help make things a little clearer when I'm talking about certain things in these World of Tanks videos. And there's a lot of information that I didn't really talk about at all, or I can't really talk about just by showing you guys the gameplay that I wanted to show you guys just as I'm in the garage. So. Right now I'm in my garage, and at the bottom here you can see these are all the tanks that I've bought. I've actually got quite a few, and I'll just scroll through all these. And I actually have some open slots as well for more tanks that I'm going to buy in the future. So I think when you first start this game or start playing this game, you only have 6 available slots, and then to get more slots you have to, I think it actually shows it at the end here, but you have to buy a slot, and that requires gold. And so in order to do that, you actually have to pay real money. So if you do want to play this game somewhat extensively, it does involve it doesn't involve spending some real money. I mean, you can, if you really wanted to, just not pay anything at all to play this game. But if you aren't going to play this game a lot, it's likely that you are going to eventually spend some money on it. So you can wait for sales. So at certain they'll have like weekend sales where these garage slots cost less money, and so I usually just wait for those to come along, and then I'll buy some more slots, because as you can see I have quite a few tanks actually in my garage at the moment. From all the different nations, really. And so currently the tanks that I've showed you guys gameplay of so far, one of them is this tank here, the KV, although it did get changed around in a recent patch, so now it's the KV2, or it got changed, moved up a tier to tier 6, and it's called the KV2 now. And the tank that's at tier 5 is still called a KV, but it's not quite the same as it was before, and as it was in the gameplay that I showed you. And then the other gameplay that I showed you guys was with the IS, which is another tier 7 Russian tank. So I'll show you guys the tech tree next, and I don't know if you guys can see it just in the regular window, so I don't know, maybe if you enlarge the window you can sort of see this better. But these are the lines for each of the nations. So this is the US line, and so right here is the SPG artillery line, and here is kind of the beginning of the medium tank and heavy tank line. It splits off, so these are American heavy tanks and these are American medium tanks, and then you can cut over here, and these are the American tank destroyers, and there are actually 2 lines. They added this second line here pretty recently. So as I mentioned in the last video, I think the Wargaming Net does actually patch the game quite often. There was actually a patch a couple days ago that added new game modes. So what's nice about this game, as I talked about before, is they're often adding new content into the game, which is really nice. It adds there's always something new to try out, and it keeps the gameplay fresh and interesting. So, and the tanks that are highlighted here are the ones that I've unlocked, not necessarily the ones that I've bought, but you can kind of tell which lines I'm trying to work towards. So I've been trying to, for the Americans at least, I'm going to eventually get up this heavy line, and right now I'm working on trying to get experience for this tank here, the M4A32, and I need to unlock this T20 here, which is the tier 7 American medium tank. So that's what I'm currently working on for this tech tree. And then here's the German tech tree. I won't go through every single every single line, but just to give you guys a sense of how this actually works. So, obviously everything starts with a tier 1, and then you can branch off into these different lines. And at the moment, the only tier 10s are the heavy tanks. Each nation has 1 tier 10 heavy tank, except for the Germans. They've got 2, and the Russians actually recently this IS-4. Or they added this second heavy line, and that's what changed what I was talking about earlier with the KV2. As you can see, this used to be in this place, and it got shifted over, and it's actually a tier 6, even though it's in the tier 5 line. And the IS-4 used to be in this tier 9 slot here, and So this is the line that I've worked the most on for the Russians, and if you are starting this game or if you want to try it out, this is probably the first line that I would go through. I would go down this heavy line, and I would probably go this way through the IS line. I've had a lot of fun using these IS tanks because they're fast and they can do pretty good damage, so they're a lot of fun to use. And you know, these are the, as I said earlier, this is the line that I've gotten the farthest on. So currently I'm working on the IS-8, and eventually I'll get to the IS-7, but that's a ways away because if you look at the research for this tank, this the IS-7 is 190,000 experience, and currently I only have just under 20,000 experience on this tank, and you know, that's after playing I think around 40 battles. I haven't unlocked the highest gun for this tank yet, but even, I mean, so that it'll be a little quicker once I do get that higher gun, because it'll be easier for me to do damage and get more experience per round. But even still, that's a lot of experience I have to get through, and I think this tank is something like, actually I can show you in my garage, but I think the IS-7 is something like 6 million credits. So that's a ways away. It'll take me a while to get up to that, but that's you know, that's the line, as I said, that I've gotten the farthest on. And then here's this is the French line. I think I kind of skipped over that quickly, but the French actually weren't in the game originally. They were added in one of the patches, and then recently, actually in the patch that I was talking about earlier that was released a couple days ago, these French artillery were added and these French tank destroyers were added. So there's lots of stuff to try out, and I mean, I've been playing this game a lot for the last 3 or 4 months, and there's still a lot that I have not tried out. I've been trying to get kind of start to work on all of the different, or in some capacity in all the different nations. I haven't worked on artillery at all because those don't really interest me very much, because you know, it's kind of just camping in one spot and not really moving around very much. It's not as exciting or interesting, but I've been trying to start to work on everything else for the most part, and so it takes a while though. It's a lot of grinding and stuff, but that's what the tech tree looks like. So I wanted to show you guys that, and then I'll just show you guys my service record. So this is this is the info for all my stats. It's essentially just shows how I do with each tank that I've used, you know, my win-loss ratio, and then I can click individually on each tank and show you guys my win percentage for each of the tanks, and average experience, and maximum destroyed in battle. So, and there's my overall results. So I've got a 55% win percentage, which is, you know, I think pretty good. It's good to have something slightly above 50, but I mean, in general, everything's going to be around 50%. It's tough to have a really high win percentage. I think the tank that I have the highest win percentage with is the KV-3. That's a 67% win percentage. So I have more than twice as many wins as I do losses with that tank, and it's just, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say that I do really well with that tank, but part of it's luck, and you know, platooning does help. So I have a friend that I like to play with, and you know, we have a better percentage of winning when we're working together than if I do when I'm playing by myself. But you know, that being said, I do have a pretty good winner percentage, which I'm happy about. So these are the tanks that I've used the most. Obviously, the IS-3 is my #1 most used tank, and that's because, you know, once you get to these higher tiers, it takes longer to get from tank to tank. As I said earlier, getting from the IS-8 to the IS-7, the tier 10, is a lot of experience, so you're going to have to play the higher tier tanks a lot before you can get to the next one. And not only that, but they cost a ton of credits, so it takes a while to work up that much money as well. But just to go back to the service record, and then the stuff at the top here shows all the medals, and there are tons of these that, you know, I don't even know what half of these are, to be honest. But I think, let's see, Top Gun is somewhere here. I forget what the little icon looks like. I think this is it, yeah. So I've gotten Top Gun 22 times out of close to 3,000 battles. So, I mean, that gives you a sense. I've showed, the 2 games that I've showed so far, both have been Top Guns. And I have a couple more that I want to show, or that I want to show you guys, that are pretty good rounds. But this doesn't happen often. It's not easy to get 6 kills in a round, and so that's, you know, I think I've done it like once or twice at least with the majority, or at least the tanks that I've used a lot of. I have it at least once or twice for the most part. So I think for this tank I've got it 4 times, the IS-3, 2 times with the Panzer IV, and 4 times with the KV. But most of that is pre-patch, because that's when the KV was good. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of how this stuff works. There's actually a lot of other stuff that I could go into detail about, but I don't want to make this video too long. You're probably wondering what this stuff over here is, and this is crew. You actually do have crews for each of your tanks, and when you initially buy a tank, your crew starts off at default. It starts off at 50%, but you can pay a little extra money and have it start at 75%. Or you can pay gold and have it start off at 100%, and that your crew percentage affects how well each module or each module of your tank works. So, for example, your loading speed is going to be a lot faster when your loader is at 100% than if it's at 50%, and your accuracy is going to be a lot better when your crew is at 100% as opposed to 50%. So. That can also make it a little difficult when you're first starting out using a tank if your crew is. So you can see this tank is only at 84% at the moment, and so that affects my accuracy and how well how fast my reload speed is, and so stuff like that. So there are a lot of nuances to this game, and actually it's a lot more detailed than than what I initially thought it was. So I've also got equipment here. I can't remember if I talked about this in the last video. Or consumables rather. The equipment slots are here, so I've got an equipment that makes my reload faster, which is a nice one to have for heavy tanks especially. And then I've got consumables here that just so when I get like a damaged module or something, or I lose a crew member, I can heal them or repair that, and I can put out fires. So those are the pretty standard consumables to use, but they're good to have, especially on higher tier tanks where your repair bill is a lot higher, and it's a lot harder to make money with these higher tier tanks. So generally, that's why I have kept so many of my tier 5 tanks. This is a tier 5, and this tank over here is a tier 5. I actually have a gameplay with this tank that I want to show you guys, the M4 Sherman. And I think I'm probably going to keep this tank, the tier 5 French light tank. And I think that, and I have the tier 5 Russian TD, the Su-85, so I keep those for money-making purposes. And I've been thinking about getting a premium tank, but I haven't done that yet. I think the really good premium tanks are $50, so I'm not sure if I want to do that quite yet. I do play this game a lot, and it would make working up these lines, or getting the credits for buying some of these tanks that I haven't locked but I haven't bought yet, it would make that a lot easier. But I still haven't decided whether or not that's going to be worth it. So anyway, as I said, I kind of wanted to give you guys an overview of all this stuff and the menus that I haven't really talked about, and you can't really see in game. It's easier for me to talk about when I'm just looking at the menu screen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and gave you guys a better sense, for those of you that do watch these World of Tanks videos or are interested in this game. It gave you a better sense of how it worked, and just sort of how you grind up each, or how you advance from tank to tank, and how the different lines work. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I expect to see some more World of Tanks gameplay soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.